Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everybody. Welcome. We are live here for Agent 365. Honestly, I know there's still a bunch of people coming in here. Now, if you've been to our previous sessions, you might be wondering, where is my esteemed co-host, David? David's not here this time round, folks, unfortunately. He's conveniently enough on vacation, like a lot of us are. So you're going to be stuck with me today, but we have a whole ton of information to get through, lots of good things, talking about Agent 365 as well through here. So I'm going to try to juggle both the talking and the answering of questions in the chat and everything else if I can as well. I'm also responsible, it seems to be as well, for not allowing note takers into this meeting. So I'm going to be a little bit busy here, folks, but it's okay. We'll make it work here. But firstly, thank you everyone for joining us. I know we had to move this out. I deeply apologize. I know it was supposed to be last Monday, I think. And again, we had to move this out to next Thursday. So I appreciate everyone joining us here today. So let's get going, because we have a ton of really good, fascinating information all around Agent 365. You might have heard about this big thing from Microsoft around agent governance. And we wanted to approach this in a really honest way. So we're going to talk what Agent 365 is, how it actually works within the background, what's it's based on, how much it costs, and hopefully it'll give you a broad level understanding of, is this Agent 365 thing actually useful for my organization? So my name is Michael Sarek. I'm one of the founders and the CEO here at Orchestry. If you've never been to a previous webinar, welcome. If you have, welcome, or thank you for coming back. Also, again, lots of experience within the Microsoft 365 space, coming up to almost 20 years. My more claim to fame is I used to be a former professional chef, working in a number of kitchens, including a couple of Michelin 3-star kitchens. If you ever want to chat about food, please let me know, because I'm very, very interested in that topic and have a huge passion for it, as well as having a passion for Orchestry as well. If you don't know who we are, so Orchestry is a governance and an adoption and a security platform built on top of Microsoft 365. We have a range of features and a range of capabilities here. Again, I'm not going to talk too much about Orchestry. This is really supposed to be a thought leadership piece, but lots of customers, lots of partners, lots of amazing features and capabilities. And if you haven't noticed, this is a 3-part series. We are about to release a real large set of features around AI and agent management in the next webinar. But in this one, we're going to be kind of giving you maybe a little bit of a sneak peek, but really helping you understand what Agent 365 is. Also, we like to keep these as interactive as possible, even if it's just me. So if you have any questions, thoughts, feedback, please use the meeting chat. Probably get more value out of the meeting chat than just me talking. So please do that. The first question that we always ask, and if you can put this into chat, is where is everyone joining us from today? So we have folks from Belgium, someone from Ohio. I'm based out of Vancouver, Canada here. I know you can't tell by the accent. This is not a traditional Canadian accent, folks. Don't be fooled. I grew up in Australia, but I've been here for the last almost 20 years. So I have I think a very strange Canadian-Australian mix. If I do go back home to Australia, though, I can tell you right now, they don't hear any Aussie accent at all. They think I actually sound Canadian through here. But lots of people, West Virginia, sunny Calgary, that might be a bit of a Canadian joke, all the way out in India, Norway, Sweden, Switzerland, Toronto, everywhere. Perfect. So thank you all for joining us here today. If you want to get social, all of this normal stuff, follow us on LinkedIn, X or Twitter or whatever it's called, or come visit the website and everything else. All right, so we got a lot to get through today. So what are we going to learn? What are the 5 things that I hope you're going to take away from this session? The first thing is around kind of the difference between what Agent 365 gives you, and if you're not prepared to pay the $15 per user, what you're going to get natively in the admin center. Now, this has changed a lot. And just so you folks know, this webinar and a webinar we did about licensing around Agent 365, these have been very difficult because this stuff is moving almost on like a daily daily basis. I'm hoping what I showed you here is relatively up to date, but things are moving really, really quickly. So the first thing is, again, what you're going to get in that free experience and what you would get if you pay for the Agent 365 licensing. Next thing we're going to talk about is how Agent 365 is licensed, because it is the most confusing thing, I think, from a licensing perspective. Again, it keeps changing, what's available now and what's coming up. But really what Agent 365 is and what it actually does, right? And why turning it on is probably a little bit harder than buying it. It's not kind of this thing where you just turn Agent 365 on and everything is good to go. Agent 365 is built from some core Microsoft capabilities. Entra ID, Purview, and Defender, and it relies on those capabilities for its functionality. So it's far more than just buying the license and you have all of these amazing features. You have to also configure those underlying products. Now, you folks have probably had those products for a while and you haven't configured any of that stuff. For instance, risk-based detection or maybe conditional access policies. If you don't have them configured, again, you're not going to be able to flow them into Agent 365 and get all of those benefits as well. And the last thing is, again, what to do this week, regardless of your Microsoft 365 licensing, to better understand probably the plethora of agents that you already have. So what you already own, what Agent 365 is, what it costs, and then an honest read from us, right? Like what we've seen out there and why we think it's actually a pretty good product at the moment. It's definitely getting better and we expect it to keep improving very, very quickly. So if you came to the first session, maybe just a hands up here or a reaction if you came to the first session of our Unseen Agents series. Hopefully you did. If not, this is part of a 3-part series. We did part 1 on July the 20th. We talk about some of the issues. We talked about agent sprawl and permissions and some of the challenges around that. Now we're going to be talking about the native toolbox. And then in the last session, we're going to be talking about what we're releasing at Orchestry here. And we hope you're going to join us for that one. Again, it's probably going to be a little bit of a sales pitch. I'll be honest with you folks. But I'm also honest that this one is not going to be that. So there's some good stuff there as well. But thank you all for joining us. Part 1 was a long time ago. 20th of July seems like a lifetime ago, honestly, especially for folks that have kids and are on summer holidays and are trying to deal with their kids at home. I know it's been quite possibly the longest 4 weeks of my life. So what happened in part 1? So we talked a little bit around some of the challenges that organizations are having around agents. The first one is around the creation. Anyone can create agents, right? Pretty simply, pretty quickly. Through there. Since then, remember, Copilot Studio agents were a problem. Now we've got the Copilot GitHub harness as well, which is another thing you got to look in there. Then we talked about kind of the 3 areas that it breaks as well. So oversharing, orphaned ownership, and runaway costs as well through here. And then we also talked about that there was no real single list of things, right? You had to look in the M365 Center or the Power Platform Admin Center or in SharePoint Online or in Purview. Again, a lot of this is going to be solved with Agent 365. If you've missed part 1, click on the recording. Don't click on it now though. Wait until this is over, but definitely go in there. One other thing which we learned the hard way, and for anyone doing webinars, potentially, when you do something through PowerPoint Live and you have videos embedded, for some reason, when you record the webinar, those videos show as blank pages. So it's a very weird experience for people watching it on LinkedIn. So if you are watching it on LinkedIn in the future, I only have one video just for that use case, so you don't miss out on that. But again, what we talked about last time was difficult to understand what and where everything is, right? Now we have Agent 365. Again, we have these capabilities that are going to allow us to view all of that. So last time we were kind of underwater, right? We had to look for agents in Agent Builder and Copilot Studio and everywhere else. Now, again, Agents 365 Pitch is really that ability to show you all of your agents within your environment, whether they're kind of the 3 core ones that we talk about, which is SharePoint agents, Agent Builder agents through Copilot Chat or Copilot Studio agents, Foundry and Pro Code, the first-party built-ins, and also the third-party ones, and also local and what we call Microsoft calls Shadows agents as well. So things like OpenClaw, Claude Code, and all of those pieces. Agent 365's pitch, as you can see, all of that here, and we'll go through that today as well. So this is where we left, part one, right? We left on this screen, essentially, where we're like, okay, what we're going to talk about Agent 365, what it is. This is what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover what Agent 365 is, how you can use it, and some of the capabilities through here as well. Now, one question I do want to ask, because we do like a good poll here before we get going, is what does your Microsoft 365 licensing look like today? So let me launch this poll here. Now, the reason that we're asking this question is this is actually really important for you to know, and I'll talk why that is, but what licensing do you have? Are you on E3? Are you on E5? Are you on Business Premium? Or were you one of the lucky people which seem to have taken advantage of Microsoft's very aggressive end-of-year discounts and moved to E7 here as well? So just wait another 10 seconds here, folks. This is far more difficult, but it's far easier with David. All right. 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. If you don't know, that's fine as well. All right, so let's talk about this as well. There we go. So most of you on E5, which is great. Some of you on E3, some of you on Business Premium. Interesting. 2 people on E7 as well. Very, very lucky folks as well. Okay. So let's talk about what you already own. So for those people which are on E3s and E5s or business premiums, essentially anything apart from E7, or maybe you've bought Agent 365 already, which is rare, you already have a bunch of these capabilities that you have. So let's talk about what you have right now and what you can leverage going forward. So essentially, Agent 365 is built on a lot of these other capabilities that Microsoft provides, right? And the interesting thing is when we started looking at Agent 365 here, the kind of new thing that Agent 365 really offers is this inventory piece, right? It's really that central list of all of these agents that exist across all of these different areas. But in terms of enforcing those agents and a lot of those functionality, it's built off the capabilities you already have. So Microsoft Defender, obviously Microsoft Entra, Microsoft Purview. SharePoint Advanced Management, not really there from an agent governance perspective, but again, it's going to allow you to control what's discoverable and everything else. Power Platform Admin Center, and also what used to be called kind of the Copilot control system through there. So Agent 365 adds another capability on top of that in terms of being able to see what you have centrally, but a lot of those pieces and capabilities are really from those underlying feature sets. So you can use a lot of those existing capabilities and features already. For instance, if you're at E5, you've got the SPM for AI, for instance, you can go and look at interactions that agents are having now, right? You don't need Agent 365 for that. If you've got Microsoft Entra and an E5, again, you can assign what are called agent IDs through there, right? What Agent 365 does, it kind of builds another layer on top of that to roll these things up and make it a little bit easier for you. So when we look at, and we'll go into this, when we look into the admin center, you're going to get 2 different experiences if you have Agent 365 or not. So out of the box, you'll go into your admin center, you'll see a thing called agents on the left-hand side, and you'll basically be able to see an overview, all agents, and some other particular capabilities and features there, right? So you see all of the agents, you'll see some details, the core actions are there, some settings are there. What Agent 365 unlocks is a couple of additional features, right? The agent map, graded risk scoring, some governance and security controls, the ability to do multi-cloud registry sync, the ability to bring in other agents outside of the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. So AWS Bedrock is one. I know they're using kind of looking at a Claude connector. I think there's a few others there as well, and some governance and security controls there also. So what Agent 365 is giving you is some additional pieces and additional capabilities. But if you have E5s or E3s or even Business Premium, You get rung 1, which is the Copilot control system. You also get rung 2, which is foundational Agent 365. And again, it's very odd because you still have these Agent 365 icons, whether you've bought Agent 365 or not. So it's a little bit confusing, but you get the basic stuff. You get the identity, you get the inventory, you get some basic usage insights here, and you get all of the other stuff that functions on those other tools. But what Agent 365 is going to give you is all of those previous features, premium features, sorry. The agent map, security posture, threat detection, registry sync, all of these pieces also. So let's talk about what Agent 365 actually is, because it's a little bit of technology. It's also quite a bit of marketing on Microsoft's side. And again, I want to kind of help you understand how this is actually built, what you can use, and how it actually works within the background, so you can get some value out of it as well. To answer some questions, is Agent 365 priced in USD? Yeah, so that's the USD price, the $15. Depending, I guess, on your local currency, it's either going to be more or less than that. But that's round about the pricing, and we'll talk and cover the pricing a little bit later on here as well. So how does Microsoft pitch this, right? If you speak to Microsoft or you look at the thing, there's 3 pillars that essentially Agent 365 is built on. The first pillar is what they call observe. So what is happening? So again, Agent 365 is going to give you that agent registry. It's going to give you the agent map, and you get slightly different views depending on which role you are. The second pillar is around governance, right? So again, a set of rules that you can apply to agents from creation all the way to retirement. So there's some agent lifecycle management features there, the ability to assign owners and sponsors to agents. There's ability to understand permissions, do access reviews and policies through Entra, and obviously all of the audit-ready stuff through Purview. The last pillar that they talk about is it safe, right? So the last thing around that as well is helping you understand what those agents are doing, and are the agents doing things safely. So again, this relies on those 3 features that we talk about. Entra for kind of risk-based agents, Purview for things like information protection, DLP, and then Defender as well. So think of Defender as kind of doing the real-time continuous detection and the ability to block unsafe actions at runtime through here. Now, this slide is a little bit busy, but it kind of shows you what this stuff is, right? So think about it this way. You have a bunch of various types of agents that are built across Microsoft 365. So no code, low code, pro code, right? Partner agents and everything else. The key foundation piece, though, to Agent 365 and a lot of these capabilities is really Microsoft Entra Agent ID. This gives you the ability to assign an ID to an agent, so then you can use all of the capabilities that you can for agents, like you do for people, right? Things like conditional access, risk management, the ability to do reviews and everything else, right? This is not a Agent 365 feature. This is an Entra ID feature, which Agent 365 allows you then to apply to agents. What Agent 365 does give you is what they call that inventory or that control pane, right? What the agents are, who owns them, what identity it does, what it can reach, all of that sort of stuff as well through here. But again, this is all enforced by Defender, Entra, and Purview as well. It's also one of the reasons that you can't buy Agent 365 for an E3 license unless you buy additional add-ons for Entra and Defender, right? This is why, because it really relies on those capabilities to do a lot of the things that we will talk about here fairly soon. So from an Entra perspective, right? Entra is basically the part of Agent 365, which is who's this agent and what is it allowed to touch. This only works if an agent has an Entra agent ID assigned to it. If you're creating agents at the moment through SharePoint or through Copilot Studio, automatically they will be assigned these agent Entra IDs. However, if you have agents created, I think it's before the 18th of March, and I'll get the date here, they don't have an Entra agent ID because that didn't exist. So really a lot of the things you can't do with Agent 365. Currently, there's no way, and you think there would be, and I hope Microsoft releases this, but there's no way to say the 500 agents we created before March the 18th, we want to manage them in Agent 365, so we need to assign them an agent Entra ID, do that automatically for you. There's no way to do that at the moment. And Microsoft's current advice is to rebuild the agent, which no one's going to do. Now, I think that's going to be a short-term thing because again, 90% of this functionality really relies on this agent Entra ID piece, but that's what it is at the moment. So what does this give our agents? We get the Entra agent ID from the identity perspective. We get least privilege access as well. We get the risk-based controls now that we can also apply just like we apply for users. And we also get access reviews and lifecycle, right? So again, think of Agent 365 as taking all of the stuff that we can do with people, but applying that to agents. But the way that it's doing that is by assigning that Entra agent ID. So it's really Entra that's doing a lot of the work around these particular piece. The second one is around Microsoft Defender. So again, Defender kind of watches the way that agents interact and the endpoints that they're essentially doing as well. A few things, again, this is all managed through the Defender portal, so it gets a little bit confusing, but things like threat detection, incidents and investigations as well. There's two things which are currently in preview, the real-time runtime protection, and then the isolated runtime as well. Isolated runtime is going to become much more interesting as soon as Microsoft starts releasing what are called autonomous agents through here. But again, you see that a lot of these things essentially are built on top of Microsoft Defender. So again, if you're buying Agent 365 and you think you're going to get all of this stuff, you will, but you need to also configure all of the stuff in Entra ID and all of the stuff in Microsoft Defender. And I do have a slide later on which shows you what you need to configure and why, and what's going to happen if you have it configured or you don't. The last thing is Purview as well, right? So again, Purview help control the scope of what agents can see. And this is really, we want to control this kind of oversharing and leakage piece as well through here. Again, you've got DSPM for AI. You can help understand the type of content that your agents are essentially reading. You've got information protection. So things like sensitivity labels you can apply to your content. You've got data loss prevention or DLP policies, and you've also got the compliance and audit pieces as well. Again, if you don't have this configured in Purview, you're not going to be able to use it in Agent 365, right? And this is why at the very beginning of this, I said Agent 365 is much bigger than just a simple purchase. You need to configure all of this stuff as well through here. All right. You're going to hear a lot around this from Microsoft and everything else. So I thought I'd just talk about this really quickly. But again, we're going to talk about the registry or the inventory, giving you that visibility to your agents, access, visualization, interoperability, and security. Pretty simple things. I'm not going to talk too much about this slide. You will get these slide decks. But again, I thought this was a nice way because there is a lot of kind of nomenclature and wording about this particular space. So again, you've got a bunch of objects, you've got the services, and you've got the money and what it essentially costs as well through here. But the big thing to actually understand is how these agents do get governed. And I touched upon this previously, but again, governance hangs off one thing, the Entra agent ID, right? And it really comes down to whether that agent was built. All of your agents built roughly before March the 18th, they don't have these Entra ID features. So you can't get a lot of the good stuff that you want, even if you buy Agent 365. Continual access, sponsorship, auditing, all of that stuff is not going to be available until you either recreate the agent or you've got agents built after that particular piece. Now, hopefully that makes sense, folks. So let's see what this looks like in action, and I'll jump into a demo as well through here. Yes, that also applies to, I'm pretty sure it applies to agent builder agents as well, correct. But it has to be agent builder agents built after the 18th of March or whatever that date is through here. Okay, so what does this actually look like? Who's actually gone into Agent 365 or to the admin center and had a bit of a look or a bit of a gander at the registry through here? Has anyone seen a couple of people? Okay. If not, we'll probably go into this as well. So the first thing is you get what they call the registry or the inventory. There's a couple of different words for it as well. But again, this gives you a comprehensive list of all of your agents. Microsoft keep adding new things into here. SharePoint agents are starting to appear here. Copilot Studio agents, Agent Builder agents as well are here. They give you some information through here and a bunch of actions that you can do. Now, this is the experience that you'll find, and that's a little bit small, but this is the experience. Actually, is there a, what happened to the magnifying glass? There's no magnifying glass anymore. Okay, well, there used to be a magnifying glass. There's no magnifying glass here. Anyway, this is the experience you'd get if you don't have Agent 365. You still get that list, but if you see here, you don't see risks, active users, total sessions, last used, all of that sort of stuff, right? But again, you can see your agents, you don't get much information about them, but at least there's like a central inventory or central registry that you can see through here. If you do have Agent 365, you get more capabilities. You still get the same actions, but you can see here that you get things like risk, active users, total users, last use, all of that stuff assigned through here, which is great. You still get the same actions, but again, Agent 365 kind of gives you some more capabilities through there also. The other thing, if you're not using it, and this is again where it gets really confusing, is you can also see a list of agents in various other areas within Microsoft 365 through here. There's 4 different ways that you can see these agents. Again, for those folks that don't have Agent 365 currently, you can get to this information, but you got to go to a bunch of different places, and all of the numbers are going to be different, right? Which is very, very annoying. The agent registry is basically going to show you pretty much everything, but it's not going to show you local-based agents. In Defender, you're going to see all of the agents as well, excluding the local the local agents. If you go to Defender, you're going to see all of the agents, including the local ones. And if you go to Entra ID, you only see the agents that have Entra ID identities. I know it's confusing, but again, if you don't have Agent 365, you'll be able to see those pieces through here. So I've put some screenshots to exactly what this looks like. Here's the agent registry in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. If you go to the Defender, there's a thing called AI Agents Preview. Again, it gives you a lot of capabilities. They're actually pretty good, even compared to Agent 365 through here. If you want to get into some advanced hunting, in the agents info table, you're going to be able to see a whole bunch of information through here. Just a quick note, to get this information to flow into Defender and get those pieces, you actually need to have an Agent 365 license. You didn't before July the 1st, you did. And for Entra agent identities, you're also going to see them through here as well. The other thing that Agent 365 is going to give you is a bit of an overview as well through here. So again, shadow agents, no owner assigned, excessive permissions, configurations, all of that sort of stuff. Again, pretty good dashboard, help you understand all of your agents and everything else through here. You're also going to get what's called an agent map, right, as well. So this is one of the paid features. This is, again, a premium capability through here. This is pretty good, right? It really does help you understand what those agents are and what they actually look like as well through here. So let us jump into a bit of a demo here, folks. Okay, now let me know if you can see my screen here. Just give me a thumbs up. I just put a comment in. Should see something that looks like Agent 365. Okay, we got a thumbs up here. Perfect. Okay, so this is what Agent 365 looks like from the admin center as well. If I go to overview through here, it's going to load. Please, for the love of God, there we go. Perfect. So again, how many agents you have, the active users. Now, this is a demo environment that we use, so we don't really use it that much, to be honest with you. I know the data is not going to be great, but there is at least a little bit here. If I go into the all agents page as well, this is what you're going to look. This is what it's going to look like. So it's going to give you a complete list of agents through here. You can go and change these. So, you know, Microsoft agents, for instance, right? From here, you can look at some of these through here. So I'm interested in maybe the SharePoint admin agent through here. I can click into this, lots of good information around here, right? Does it have an identity or an environment assigned, who the users are, the data and tools that it's essentially using, the permissions, the activity if there is any, and a couple of actions as well through here, which is really neat also. Ones which are kind of more useful, what we find is, let's say we want to see all of our agent builder agents as well through here. Again, you'll be able to see them through here also. So if I look at, I think we've got this one here, for instance, through here. So when it was created, what it was, how it was created as well, who the users are, the data and tools that this is actively using. And again, through here, I can do things like assign, delete, and everything else. More interesting ones are particularly Copilot Studio agents. So if I look at that, and we have one which we've created for a demo with David's name on here, even though David is not here. But look at David's agent as well through here. Again, I get a lot of information, how it was built, when it was last published, the channel, the instructions, all of this sort of stuff as well. And here you can see the identity assigned to it, like what the Entra ID is, the blueprint that it's assigned to, and everything else. If I want to know more about the agents, for instance, if I want to understand, let's say, the security posture as well through this here, as you can see here, this is going to bunt me off to those other tools, right, through here. So again, if I want to understand the Entra protections, I got to go and review this in Entra through here. If I want to understand the agent activity as well through here, it just kind of takes me, let me just log in here, kind of takes me to the generic Activity Explorer page, but you can see it just takes me directly into Purview, right? It's not filtered to me. I have to go now and basically go and change these pieces and see what I can do as well through here. Again, so you're going to have to go around these particular kind of portals as well through here, right? So think of this in terms of Purview. I got to go and basically go into Purview and start looking at these things. But it does give me the ability, again, view the permissions, view them in map, view the activity as well through here. Yeah, we don't have any activity, I apologize, folks. But again, you'll see a nice little activity graph as well through here to understand what this is through here also. But the biggest thing that you can basically do through here is either assign a new owner, view it in the map. You can also do some other pieces as well through here, blocking, deletion as well. But it is going to be different for different types of agents. So for instance, the things that I can do here for SharePoint agents versus Studio agents versus Agent Builder agents is going to be different. The other thing that this also does is give the concept of a map. So let us go and delete that. Pretty decent, to be honest with you folks. Here's all of the agents that we have. Now, 245 third-party agents through here. Just so you know, it doesn't mean that you have all of these. You have all of these available. It doesn't mean that you've deployed them through here. But for instance, if I'm interested in the Copilot Studio agents, here's all of the ones that I have. I can click onto David's agent. I can view the details and I get that same type of information available through here also. The other last thing is around the frontier piece as well. Again, this is definitely paid from Microsoft, and this is the ability to go and to understand what local agents have been deployed. Not everything is supported through Microsoft currently, but they've got Claude, Cursor, Gemini, and GitHub, probably the main ones. Again, expect more to appear through here later on. Shadow AI is the other piece. Again, this is part of Agent 365. It's also part of the Frontier program. You're going to be able to detect if people are deploying things such as OpenClaw or Claude Desktop and everything else. Again, I wouldn't pay for Agent 365 just for this capability, because if you've got Intune joint devices, just don't allow people to download OpenClaw and install it anyway, right? But it does give you that capability to understand if people have done that through here. But again, there's a bunch of things that you have to do to configure this. There's a lot of kind of Defender configuration that you have to basically do and go through here to make sure that this works and make sure that you go and add this and it's all configured correctly. The other thing which is really neat as well is on the tools perspective as well through here, being able to see kind of all of the tools that people are using across the organization and kind of where it's being used and what it can do. And the last thing you're gonna get is a bunch of settings, basically, right, through here as well. But again, the big part of it is really this overview through here And this kind of all agents piece as well. And one of the really nice things that I like is this agents without owners and this agent at risk thing as well, right? So again, it rolls up risks across Defender, across Entra, and it's going to be able to show you kind of what those risks are as well through here. All right, let me go. Yes, I agree with you. Map tools is very, very confusing as well through here. All right, let me go back here. Present in Teams, present. Live, let's resume. Perfect. So you're going to get, again, the agent map through here. Let me keep rocking and rolling here. Again, there's kind of 3 other tabs that no one's demos, which I think are super useful. So tools give you the ability to see service and MCP servers that agents can use. Tool requests is another one. Again, if people are using MCPs, they can go through a request process, and then Shadow AI is the other one as well. So that's for those local pieces also. Now, this space is moving really, really rapidly, right? Also, so again, there's a bunch of stuff already in Agent 365. There's a lot of stuff coming out here very, very soon. All of the stuff, the registry, the agent map, the APIs, all of that stuff is already available. GA was the 1st of July. There's more features coming up here. Policy templates is a really interesting one. Runtime blocking for Copilot Studio. The other one that I really like is multi-tenant management. If you've got multiple tenants that you're running, you're going to be able to roll this up across Agent 365. But the big one for most people is going to be the full agent user identities piece, right? At the moment, the majority of your agents are running in the context of the person that's created it. What you're going to find is these kind of agents which run as themselves, especially as Microsoft brings things out like Cowork and especially Scout and other features. Again, this is all be coming out shortly. And this is really where Agent 365, I think, is going to be really, really useful because, again, these independent sort of what they're calling autopilots essentially going to be running and doing whatever you told them to do. But again, because they're not linked to a particular person, because they're running in their own context and they're running as their own identity, there's more power there, but there's also more risk here as well. Some of the other things that aren't really there, naming standards, we talked about this, approvals, owner attestation for all of them, the ability to easily view what content grounding is, and those pieces aren't really there. And even in August, there's a few things which are still yet to come. Apparently, there's like a manager dashboard that's coming out. There's also a unified installation management. There's a bunch of stuff that's coming out through here. Okay, so what does this stuff cost, essentially? Now, this is not an easy question to ask, folks. Not easy at all. For the 2 people which answered and have Agent 365, you're good. But for the rest of you on E3 and E5s, the answer is it depends. And it's very confusing. So Microsoft is essentially saying that in order to use Agent 365 functionality to get the inventory, to do all of the other things in terms of conditional access and everything else, it's a $15 per user charge. And it's $15 not for just the people that have created these agents, but it's $15 for anyone that has interacted with managers, sponsors, or owners, the agents as well. Unfortunately, there's no real way to enforce this, right? And it's very difficult if you're an admin to understand who has interacted with which agent, so you can assign them an Agent 365 license. So I think in most organizations, if you don't have an E7, you're either going to license no one or you're going to license everyone, right? Now, again, that's up to you. Keep in mind that Microsoft is starting to get more strict on these things because as soon as you buy one Agent 365 license, all of these capabilities and features light up. So it's up to you to make sure that you are licensed correctly, right? Now, again, you don't have to be. Maybe you don't want to be. We have heard of customers just buying a single Agent 365 license because they didn't know. But again, making sure that you're going to be licensed correctly. And this is going to be really, really difficult. It's also the reason why Microsoft is pushing E7 so much, because it's just a simpler way to be able to manage that. Now, remember that licensing question at the very beginning, right? So Agent 365 is $15 per user per month, but it also depends on which license you have. And the reason that it depends on which license you have is, remember how we talked about that Agent 365 uses a lot of the capability from Entra, from Purview, and from Defender to power this stuff. So if you're on E5, all you need to do is pay another $15 per user per month, right? It's great. Now, if you're going to be doing that, to be honest with you, if you're on E5 and people are using Copilot anyway, so you're paying $30 for that, so they're at $80 there, and then you want to put another, $15 for your Agent 365 license, you're around $99. You might as well buy E7, because Microsoft is going to give you all of that, E5, Copilot, Agent 365. It's also going to give you the Entra suite, right? So you're going to save a few bucks there. If you're on E3, it gets more complicated. Essentially, you can't have an E3 and pay $15 and have Agent 365 for all of these features. You have to step up, right? You have to buy an additional add-on for Defender and for Purview, I think it is. But if your E3 is $39, you're going to have to step up another $21 to kind of get the same functionality as E5, and then another $15 to have Agent 365. It's exactly the same, Steve. Correct. It's exactly the same for Business Premium. I don't have the slide. I have a much better slide for this in a previous webinar I did, which shows it all, but it does get expensive. So if you're on Business Premium, you need to get those additional 2 pieces. Sorry, yes. And if you're on Business Standard, you need to get them as well. Again, it's pretty complicated, right? If you're on E3, honestly, do you want to pay another $20 for those 2 licenses and another $15 just to get Agent 365? Probably not, right? To be honest with you, there's other things as well through there. This one is going to explain to it a little bit more through here. So again, if you're on E5, $15, you're good. If you're on E3, you have to add the Defender and the Purview suite. Thank God this is here, because I totally forgot. So if you're on E3, you have to add the Defender and the Purview suite and then add Agent 365. If you're on E7, you get it natively. If you're frontline, right? Frontline, even if you're on F5, you have to add Defender and Purview. SMB, you have to add Defender SMB and Purview SMB as well through here. So again, it does get expensive, which is why Microsoft is probably trying to push E7 as much as we can. All right, I am going to get a sip of water. However, another poll, people. How many of you are considering buying Agent 365 in the next 12 months? Let me launch this here. I am going to grab a drink. Now, hopefully, some of this has changed you here. So most people aren't sure. Some folks are. Tremendous. That's good to see as well. All right, a couple more seconds here. Let me just put on done here. All right, perfect. So where are we at? So 22% of you, yes. Most of you aren't sure. 15% of you are not going to be. Now, I assume that 15% is you're probably on E3. And again, you probably have to do a lot of the fundamental stuff. But that's the really interesting thing about Agent 365. It's because it relies on those Entra, Defender, and Purview capabilities. If you don't have them, you're not going to be able to essentially, you're not going to be able to take advantage of the Agent 365 features. All right. Now, what's our honest read around this piece of functionality? Because it is expensive, right? $15 per user per month is expensive. I mean, remember we talked about SharePoint Advanced Management, and everyone was like, SharePoint Advanced Management is really expensive. That was $3 per user per month, and we all thought that was expensive. $15 per user per month for Agent 365 is not a small amount to pay, especially with the kind of overhead of trying to understand, who uses it and what and everything else. So where I think Agent 365 is great, you get the list, you get the API, tremendous. You get agents become identities, which is great. So all of the stuff that Entra ID offers, conditional access, sponsors, lifecycle, right? All of that sort of stuff. So if you have a lot of that in Entra already, where you're using conditional access policies, you're using maybe the onboarding and offboarding sponsorship, great. You can apply that to agents really easily. It's going to make that really, really simple. It's also a great way if you've invested in the Microsoft security stack. So if you've got Defender, you're using Purview, right? You don't have to teach additional stuff to people also. Shadow AI, I think, is a really powerful capability of this, because God only knows people are adding a bunch of crazy agents all over the place to their desktop devices also, and you get some data residency as well. Where it stops. So Agent 365 only governs agent with an Entra agent ID, right? So again, copied agent files, ghosts, drafts, everything built before you opted in, sit outside. And the biggest challenge at the moment is, like I said, if you have agents that were built before the 18th of March, they don't have an agent Entra ID. So essentially, you have to rebuild those things. Again, qualification on E3, you have to go and basically buy a bunch of things there. Also, maturity-wise, it is a new product from Microsoft as well. So again, it's moving pretty quickly. But you folks have all been in the Microsoft space for a while. You know that the first couple of iterations of what Microsoft provides usually aren't the best, but then it does get better and better, right? Agent 365, really, GA has only been around for the last couple of months as well. The other thing is around drift. I'm not going too much into this, but there's this concept of what are called agent templates. And these templates basically allow you to specify various rules around agents, policies, and all of those pieces. They're actually a really nice way. So if someone goes and creates an agent somewhere, you can have this kind of template assigned to it, which has all of your rules, which is great. Unfortunately, if you then change that template, it doesn't retroactively go and update all of your agents through there. So again, that drift piece is going to be really difficult. I'm not going to go through all of this, but we can definitely send this over. Like, this is what we think in terms of where it needs. So where some things are strong, where some things are partial, and where some things are absent. Now, don't read all of this, folks. We'll send this over for you. But a couple of things, again, which you know, it's pretty kind of weak on content and grounding, for instance, where that content is, what that content is using. You know, if you want to do that, you still have to go into Purview, for instance. Things like lifecycle management as well, onboarding, offboarding, right? There's some good features, naming standards, all of those things are a little bit weak in my mind as well. So the question is, listen, what do you want to do, right? Buy it, pilot it, wait, or don't. What I would say, again, is buy it now if you've got a bunch of agents and you want to get a handle of them, particularly if you're on E5 or if you're already on E7 and you have the money there. The main recommendation will be to pilot it. If you're just getting stuck into building agents and people are building these things, again, just license those users for Agent 365. Again, the problem is that as soon as you just license the users creating agents, as soon as those agents get used by other people, not necessarily people that created them, you have to license those people as well. So see if you can keep that pilot as narrow as possible also. If you're on E3, A3, business standard, again, you're not going to be able to do that as well through here. Now, this licensing might change for Microsoft. I don't think it will. But again, I would say most people that we speak to are in this pilot phase. Now, I want to leave you folks again with some playbook features as well. A couple of things, Ankit, if I don't license users using agents and only license users creating agents, will it not report the usage by users? No, it still does. This is a terrible thing to say. So if this gets back to me, folks, don't. No, it doesn't, right? You could buy, and you will never do this, you could buy a single Agent 365 license, and all of the capabilities are going to be lit up for you, regardless if you've got 10,000 people using agents. It's all going to be governed, everything else. It's up to you to make sure that the licensing that you apply is appropriate. Okay, there's no technical limitation. It's a Microsoft contractual limitation you need to enforce there. Hopefully that is clear. Don't do that, but it is possible. All right, so the playbook. This is the interesting thing about Agent 365, right? The license buys the license, but not the capability. You need to go and configure all of this other stuff as well through here, right? Again, so any preview feature, you got to go make sure that's enabled in the admin center, right? If you want to do agent risk scoring, again, that relies on Entra ID protection P2. You need to configure that. Otherwise, that agent's risk card is going to be empty, right? If you want to have the threat alerts and advanced hunting, you need to configure the 3 connectors to make that happen in the Defender portal, right? There's things that you need to do before you get all of the power of Agent 365 through there. If you do have Agent 365, even if you don't, but if you do, there's kind of 5 moves that I would do. The first thing is open the registry, read it, right? Sort by the agents without owners. And again, the risk signals. The risk for this agent piece is really, really useful. Triage the top 10. The other things that you also wanna do is assign sponsors as well through here. So don't let the sponsors default. Make sure that the sponsor is actually supposed to be the business owner as well through here. Third thing is wire up all of the security plumbing as well. Again, you got to do a bunch of work in Defender. You got a bunch of work in Purview, DSPM, all of that sort of stuff. You also need to have the roles. Now, what's really interesting is, at least on our tenant, I'm a global admin. When I go into Agent 365, I couldn't do some of the actions. I don't know why, but you have to get another role assigned to you as well through there. So there's a lot of things there. If you do have Agent 365, one of the best things is what are called the lifecycle tasks. So things like sponsor leave notifications, again, a really good thing that fits into the Entra ID suite. You can reassign people, but if someone's been offboarding, you can actually transfer the sponsorship or the ownership of that agent as well through here if you need to. To answer a couple of questions, Edward, are there any good instructions for setting all of these things up? Yeah, there are. I've put some links underneath there, but it's a lot to set up. Like it's a lot basically to set up. So again, if your organization, you probably have all of this stuff already, you just haven't invested into it. Again, the demos that you see from Microsoft where there's like alerts coming in and all of this stuff, you have to have all of this stuff configured. The license buys the license and not the capabilities as well through here. So there's a lot there. For the other question, Arun, I'm not going to try to pronounce your full name because I'm just going to butcher it, so I apologize. Your question, so for developers, Copilot Studio, Copilot Premium license is required for developing agent, and for agent governance, Agent 365 license is needed. This is correct. Correct, yes. But again, with an agent, with an E7 license, you're going to get Copilot Studio. You're going to get a Copilot license. So you probably don't need to have that Copilot Studio Premium license. If you don't have a Copilot license, I was very confused. If you don't have a Copilot license, Arun, you'll have to buy a Copilot Studio license, correct, to create the agent, and an Agent 365 license to manage it. That makes sense. You need 2 licenses, basically, through there as well. Okay, really quickly to kind of wrap this up. So we've talked a little about Agent 365 through there. What is our view of governance, right? Again, we think Microsoft has done a really, really good job of at least bringing together a plane around agents. But what we really believe at Orchestry is agents is just one kind of AI in Microsoft 365, right? We have agents and those various types. We have Copilot within the apps. We have Cowork now, which is, consumption build. We have Scout as well, which I don't think is generally available. But again, that is build by consumption through GitHub, and we have external AI also, right? For us, where we're thinking about this from Orchestry is we think that you need to apply that same level of visibility and the same level of governance across all of these AI experiences in Microsoft 365. Because whether it's an agent, whether it's Copilot, whether it's Cowork, it's running mostly on the same content and the same permissions and the same challenges. The other part that needs to be governed as well is the Power Platform. because the Power Platform is a lot where a lot of these agents are running, particularly Copilot Studio and Agent Builder agents, right, through there. So for us, we want to bring those kind of two worlds together, right? And again, agents don't float, they run on something, right? They run on the Power Platform. And again, what Microsoft has done is the Power Platform Center of Excellence Starter Kit has stopped being kind of maintained. Microsoft is putting a lot of those capabilities into the Power Platform Admin Center. But again, it's very difficult as someone who's trying to manage these things to understand, here's all of the agents that I have in Agent 365, but then I need to also go into the Power Platform to understand a little bit more detail as well. We want to kind of bring those two worlds together here within Orchestry. The other thing that we also want to do is the big missing piece for us, we feel, is what are agents and AI actively using within an organization, right? So again, it shows you the knowledge sources, but what we want to be able to do as well is to try to understand not only the knowledge sources that AI and agents are using, but the actual documents and content that they're grounding on. And the reason we believe that's really, really useful is, again, you might have an agent pointing to a HR site, but then you're getting all of these weird responses. You don't understand why. Well, it turns out you pointed this to this huge site that has 20,000 documents, and someone, Mary, created a copy of the HR folder, 20 folders down, and she's got a bunch of drafts in there, which are visible to people. And for some reason, the agent is basically grounding on that content instead of what you think is going to be authoritative. So our theory or our thesis within Orchestry is if we can tell you exactly what content your agents and your AI is grounding on currently, you can then be really surgical to find that content and make sure that content itself is secure. This idea we're finding of to get AI ready, you need to review every single piece of content and make sure oversharing is solved across the entire environment. That's just not really, really feasible at scale. But imagine if we could tell you, hey, you've got 10,000 SharePoint sites, but only 500 of them is actively where your AI and agent is working on. Fix those 500 first before you go and fix the rest, right? So we think that's going to be really, really powerful. The other thing that we really believe as well, and we have this thing for workspaces, is really at scale, the only person that can judge an agent is going to be its own, right? So again, within Orchestry, we have this philosophy around lifecycle management around teams and SharePoint sites and content. So we provide tools for admins to understand what's happening, but really an admin can't look at a SharePoint site and say, well, this thing should be archived or not. In the same way as an admin probably can't look at an agent, right? And understand, do the correct people have access to this agent? Is this agent grounding on the right content, right? Is it using the correct version of an MCP? So who can, the people that have created this agent or the owners of those particular agents? So one of the things we'll be releasing here is this concept of an agent review, a review that you can send out to the creators of your agents to let them manage it. So a really beautiful experience that a person can come in. I have an agent that's being created, and I can come in and say, hey, yep, these are the people that have access to it. They still should have access. This is the content, and this is everything else through here. So that is what's going to happen on the next session of these. And to answer someone's question, no. You do not need an Agent 365 license, and you do not even need an E5 to use the Orchestry AI and agent functionality that's coming up as well. We have a range of features which we're going to be talking about, cross-platform inventory, a bunch of insights, combined with Power Platform reporting also, and a whole range of other capabilities as well through here. So again, not going to talk about it too much here, but join us on August the 31st. We'll show you what we have now, but we'll also show you what's coming, because again, we feel there's some really, really compelling features, especially for those of you that, again, you might not be ready to make the jump to Agent 365. We can help you with that. And if you're on Business Premium or E3s, you know, this can be a really, really great option as well through here. So again, come and see us next time. Oh, we're almost out of time as well through here. Hopefully that's been useful, folks. I know that's a lot of information. Let me know if that kind of hit the mark or not. If you're interested in having a chat, feel free to reach out to us as well. We have trials and all of that sort of stuff. I know we're out of time almost here as well. Again, if you have any questions, any thoughts, feedback, reach out to us. We're more than happy to help. But come and join us on the 31st. We're super proud of what we've developed. I think you're going to love it as well. And again, it's only the first piece of what's coming up here within Orchestry. Awesome. Thank you so much, folks. Thank you for all the feedback. Thank you for all the comments. Have a wonderful day, and we will see you next time.